What's up, people? I'm Carl Nassib. I'm at my house here in Westchester, Pennsylvania. Just want to take a quick moment to say that I'm gay. I've been meaning to do this for a while now, but I finally feel comfortable enough to
I've
get it off my
struggled
chest.
with this one a lot because I'm I understand why it's a story. However, I also feel like it shouldn't be a story, but I understand that it needs to be a story until it's not a story. Did I talk circular enough there for you? So, so Carl, I hate that I always butcher his last name, but Carl Nassib,
Nassib.
Nassib. I thought I had it. Nassib. You were he was drafted in Cleveland by the Browns
Yeah.
in 2016
Oh yeah.
when you were there.
Yep.
Yeah. So do you know this young man? He's done something, obviously, coming out, being the first, I guess, active NFL player to come out as gay. There's been some, Michael Sam, I believe, came out and then was drafted but didn't really play. We've
Right.
had some retired players, but he's the first kind of, young, active, quality player to come out.
Mhm.
So first, let's start on him. What do you know about him as when he was on your team?
Very quality young man, hardworking. Come from a great family. Um, I enjoyed him. I thought he stood for all the things that NFL football players stand for: hard work, intelligence. Um, Became a pro. Was brought up in the Cleveland Browns organization and learned how to work, how to be the best he could be. I'll be the first to tell you, I'm shocked. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not.
Mhm.
That caught me off guard. It really threw me for a loop because I've been around him so much, high fiving and laughing. Not that anything's wrong with that, but I was surprised,
Right.
you know. So that was my first reaction to it all.
So and he went from with you on the Browns to your old team to the Raiders,
Right.
and the way he announced it was very, oh, by the way, which I thought was great, by the way. And I guess the question is, like I said, for me, I'm beyond that point where it's just like someone, I don't even feel like someone needs to come out as, hey, you do you. That's I honestly don't care either way. I know that's maybe some people say that's a bad thing, but I don't. But I understand that for the LGBT plus community, right? For people to come out and make more people aware and understand, and obviously what they've been through in the past. I get it, why it's important for athletes to come out and famous people to come out and kind of remove that perception. Do
Mhm.
you think it changes? Does his team look at him any different, or it's like, I don't care, he's my teammate, everything remains the same? Obviously the majority, there might be a minority that maybe is effective. What are your, like, if it was in your locker room, do
I
you
think
deal with
Anthony
it? Do
just,
you talk about it?
yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah.
I think you have to make sure that you tackle the elephant that's in the room. And the elephant in the room is that, hey, look, this is real, and we're dealing with it in real time. This is not on somebody else's team, this is on our team. And you need to let players express how they feel. Now, he's got a ton of support. Some players on the team has really stepped up and supported him. But at the same time, like you said, you don't hear from the other group on the other side who are not in support.
Right.
And those things can divide a locker room really quickly. Um, so I think Coach Gruden has to do a great job of being very transparent and putting it out there for the team to deal with, to address, because there's questions. I mean, a lot of our parents, and again, I can't speak for the players on the team, but I just know a lot of parents are old school.
Right.
And so what you've been taught, that's what you know. And so we should be at a time where it's not as something we should have to talk about, but you do have to talk about it. You can't just sweep it and say, okay, well, we'll just let the media take care of it, because there's going to be, I'm sure, in comments somewhere, there's going to be something where somebody doesn't like it.
Right.
And so it could bleed over into your locker room. So hopefully he will address it. I'm sure John.
I know you don't name names, but he can't be the only NFL player.
You just said it. I mean, think about that. So he had enough, and Carl is that type of man, in my opinion. He has enough inner strength to come out and say, hey, this is who I am. There's a lot of people who don't have that kind of strength, and they're afraid
Yeah.
to live their life to the fullest. And that's my only disappointment for people, that if that's who you are, that's who you are, you know, because how can you be the best version of you if you're hiding something?
it's
So
it's an interesting world we live in where, and I've used it in the last couple of days, where I'm describing him as being courageous and brave for being himself, right?
mhm,
Like it's almost that's why I struggle when I say he shouldn't have to be brave to be
no,
himself.
no,
And yet he was, because in a locker room, and I said this, I was on another podcast a couple of yesterday or 2 days ago when he first released it, and they asked me, and I said, I've been in a locker room. I know, and you know what he's going to hear, what he's going to deal with
oh yeah,
on the field from opposing teams, right? Because they're
yes,
going to try and get under his skin.
absolutely.
And for him to do it is really brave. It is very courageous for him to put himself out there and say, "Hey, this is who I am," and it doesn't change who I am, if that makes
It was
sense.
interesting. It makes a ton of sense, Anthony. Just like you said, I mean, he's gonna at some point in time. It's just the nature of practice and the grind of pro football. You're gonna get into it with somebody. Is that going to become a conversation? You know, you look at the narrative surrounding everything that was talked about when it came to him. There was a picture of Michael Sam being drafted, you know, kissing his mate, you know, so all those feelings are going to all come back up, and everybody's going to have to deal with them one way or the other. You know, either you say, that is what it is, or you have some real thought about it, you know, and so that's why I say it has to be dealt with the right way, because he's now an active player on a team. Like you said, he's going to play against other players who are going to, how do you know how the other team is going to
Right.
affect them?
And like
So
I said, some people who may not even, let's say, maybe not openly care, will
absolutely.
say stuff to him to try to get under his skin.
Yeah,
That's just the nature of football, right? Whether you
that's what they do.
are, that's what they do
Absolutely.
anyways. Yeah. And it's
Looking for an
interesting
edge.
because I put it out there, and it's interesting, even the comments from fans and people in my comment section, half of the people were, how brave, so proud of him, it's amazing. And then there was a group of fans, they were the minority, but
Right.
I'd cut him if he was on my team.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't let him into my locker room. Oh, he's gonna have sacks on and off the field. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like,
That's what he's going to have to
and
deal
that's
with.
what,
That's the
and I,
world we live
yeah,
in.
and I'm sitting there reading it going, what do you,
Wow.
and I'm like, wow, how is he going to deal with that? So, all power to him, good for him to come out and be that. Like I said, there's no way he's the only,
No,
maybe it helps, so, some other people as well to say, hey, this is who I am as well. And maybe, and I think with everything else, like, I'll use the entertainment industry for example. When people first started to come out, like the Ellens of the world, it
hmm
was a big deal. Now
hmm
it's kind of like, oh, okay, that actor, oh, yep, sure, oh yeah, I kind of
mhm.
saw that. Yeah, it's
Right.
it's nothing. So maybe this is that moment that we look back, in a couple of years ago. Hey, remember when Carl came out? Yep, that was the one. And
But
now
that's
it's
what gets me, because so many people say just what you just said. They go, why are you shocked? And I go, wait a minute. What do you mean? Why am I shocked? Because I knew Carl only one way. I didn't know Carl the other way. So I am shocked with surprise. You know,
yeah. Well, everyone thinks that there's like these bells and whistles, like,
yes,
I knew
yeah,
that. No, it's
yeah.
not. It's
I don't
not.
see, I
Not
don't
everyone's out there, right?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
look at it like that. I'm not in that environment where I know the signs or what it looks like. There's certain times you can look and say, maybe what is this? But at the same time, I never would have suspected that. And I was shocked that most people, I've had so many people call me, they want me to be on their show about it, and I wouldn't do it. Just because I just didn't think it was right. I'm not trying to make it a national story, because he is a young man and we should be beyond a lot of it. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it is a story.
Yeah. And like I said at the beginning, it's one of those things where for me it's not a story, but it is because, and then like I said, if I put on that hat of, if I was in, that community, I'd
Right,
understand. Yeah, I'd want more people to come out. I don't want people to perceive us as, hey, look, hey, this is our sexual orientation. It doesn't have
right,
to do with anything else. If you think about it, Carl's that same guy, right?
right.
Is the exact same guy that he's been for the last however many years. It's just now something about his private life
Right.
that you didn't know before. So I think that's why it's a story, and that's obviously because you were there in the Browns. They're going to ask you, did you see?
Right.
Did you see? and there's going to be some bad ones too, right? Like I said, there's some questions. I'm not even repeat. I told you the nice stuff,
Yes.
what people were saying. So, like I said, good for him. I hope it doesn't change anything
Me too.
other than if there's other people who are struggling, because
Yes.
you know this as well as I do. If you're holding something inside, if you have a secret that eats at you, that can drive you
It's
crazy.
gonna eat
And
at you, and it's the biggest thing. You don't become the best version of you,
right.
and that's the biggest thing. And I think Carl, just me knowing him a little bit, I think there was something probably that was hampering him from being the best he could be. And I think he felt like he needed to let it all go in order for him to see if he can reach that ceiling. I truly believe that about
So how listen, I don't know him very well. You know, he's a defensive player on the Raiders, so I'll be honest, I don't know him
him.
all that well. As a player on the field, where does he like? Where he was a third round pick, I think second
Right.
Pick of the third round.
Yeah,
So
he was a
he was
third round pick.
drafted pretty high. So
He was a leading sacker, at Penn State. He broke some records. I mean, had a leading sack that year, his senior year. Long, Langley kind of guy who's an overachiever, works extremely hard, is going to do exactly what the coaches ask, has a sense of humor, has a love for his teammates.
he's gonna need that too.
He will.
Yeah.
He likes to win. I mean, he exemplified all the things you would want in a football player. I don't think anybody's ever seen him like, a Lawrence Taylor or Khalil Mack or anything like that, but he's that next other level down below, that guy who's gonna be
So a starter in this league who
He's been a
can
solid
make
pro.
an impact, but maybe not
Mhm.
kind of, yeah. Listen, there's
Mhm.
nobody on a Lawrence Taylor level really, but yeah, I hear what you're saying.